So Jethro was interested in finding out what's going on with the people of Israel. I'm very specific. I call them the people of Israel, not the Jewish people, because the Jewish people would imply only those who survived from the kingdom of Judea. However, the people of Israel refer to the original 12 tribes, of whom there are many in the world out there who don't even know that they are from the people of Israel. And perhaps, in a small way, I would be able to bridge that by the fact that there are many Gentiles who look at these videos. The people of Israel came out of Egypt, Mitzrayim, in a most dramatic way, and they traversed the Yam Suf, which is today the Gulf of Aqaba, and found themselves in northwestern Saudi Arabia, southwestern Jordan. That area, primarily a wilderness or desert, is the location of the famous Mount Sinai, where the Torah was given. And it is to that place that Jethro goes, for Mount Sinai was near Midian, as is clearly evident by the fact that Moses brought the sheep of his father-in-law to Mount Horeb, which is also Mount Sinai, the Har HaElokim, the mountain of the Lord, mountain of God. And this could not have been a great distance from Midian, or the sheep would not have survived in that climate, that area. So it had to have been close in proximity to Midian. Midian, as it's called in English, is in the southern part of Jordan, northern part of Saudi Arabia. And so therefore the place from where Jethro had to come from was proximus, was close by. This explains also why Jethro goes back to his land. Now, if Jethro had come all the way to the Sinai Peninsula, which is about 200-300 miles from where the Midianites were, then it would seem difficult to understand how an older person like Jethro was could undertake such an arduous trip, where if he was among the people of Israel, they were traveling with God's scouting and God's making it easy for them to travel. Why wouldn't he do that? On the other hand, if they had been contained in southern Midian or southern Jordan, northern Saudi Arabia, and this was just a hop, skip, and a jump to his home, one can understand that he had come and visited and left. At some point, he was going to go ahead and come back to them. This would be more in line with subsequent verses in the Torah and subsequent histories that his family, or much of his family, actually traveled with the people of Israel and settled in the land of Canaan, the promised land. It makes a lot of sense that he lived in proximity and perhaps came back a number of times. But the fact that they hadn't gone into the Holy Land, stayed where he was, and that's where he died. And perhaps that's the reason why we have no other recollection of the comings and goings of Jethro. That said, let's look at what Jethro actually does here. Jethro observes, after giving sacrifices to God and declaring that there is no other God but the God of Israel. For he, Jethro, had gone through all idolatrous ways. He had seen them all and realized that the Torah was the truth, that there was only one truth, and that truth was the ways of Moses. It reminds me of my dear friend, who may even see this video and may yell at me for mentioning his name, my dear friend Gil Locks. Gil, at one time, was perhaps the greatest authority in Buddhist meditation in the world. Certainly nobody that I know has meditated for close to the entire 24-hour period of the day, much less done this for a period of 7 years consecutively. He meditated for 23 hours a day, approximately 7 years, during which he also spent 2-3 years in complete silence, only using sign language. He raised the level of function, of performance, of the normal human being to such a high degree, went to the limits of human endurance, and discovered that it was not the truth. One can only extrapolate from there how Jethro must have himself been. He must have been a great meditator, must have been engaged in the arts of the experts of Egypt, which included certain kinds of witchcraft magic, certain types of spiritual incantations where one became aware of the presence of the spirit after death. There are people that I know that claim that they're able to see or hear the voices of those that are departed and see those people, converse with them. I know that there are people out there that see these videos and just poo-poo that these are all a bunch of maniacs and fools and charlatans. I don't maintain that position. The reason I don't is because I have met people who are believable to me, who claim that they have powers, had powers. And just because a person has powers does not make them a holy person. Holiness comes through goodness and kindness and discipline and wisdom and devotion to God, not devotion to yourself. So Jethro was a man of divinity, but not a man of God. He was a man who was an expert in spiritual arts, but he wasn't a man of God until he accepted the Creator of the universe, who communicated his will through the prophets, especially his son-in-law Moses. And that he realized at that moment. And that's what sets Jethro apart from all other great men, whether it be Lao Tzu, whether it be Confucius, whether it be any of the great teachers of the ancient world and the modern world. All of those people spoke about themselves, spoke about their own experience, but did not accept that there was a divine revelation through Moses. Jethro, on the other hand, did. That's what sets him apart from all others. That's what happened with my friend Gil, by the way, Gutman. He was able to see the blue image that the Hare Krishnas, I call them Hare Kishkas, actually talk about. He saw the blue image. He also saw the whirlwind that you see in the process of meditation, the spiritual whirlwind. He saw all of those things and accomplished all of those things and realized that this wasn't the truth. He went from there to Christianity and became a Christian healer. So he did that as well. And he could heal people, I believe that. I know him, he's a straightforward person. But he realized that that wasn't the truth either. The truth was doing the mitzvahs, the commandments, as God said to Moses 3,324 years ago.